again to see the light of a new tomorrow, the peace I'm searching for. Walk along beside me, oh my Lord.
I'd like to welcome you to the commencement ceremonies of Colby High School, the class of 1988. It is an honor tonight, as president of the Colby High School class of 1988, to introduce the pastor for this year's commencement exercise. Reverend John Boggs is the pastor of the Colby United Methodist Church and has been in our community for about a year and a half now. He's a native of Brevard and is a graduate of Brevard High School, Brevard College, St. Vincent College, and received seminary training at Emory University in Atlanta. Reverend Boggs is married to his lovely wife Anita and has a 2-year-old daughter Sally. I've had the opportunity to speak with Reverend Boggs on several occasions. He is a wonderful person who loves to work with youth ministries. Please welcome Reverend John Boggs.
Thank you, Greg. It may seem strange, but it's been something of a dream of mine to have an opportunity like this, and it's especially sweet tonight because I know some of you graduated. A couple of years ago, I was invited to address a philosophy class at Hendersonville High School in the community where I served prior to coming here. That evening, it was a Friday afternoon, and that evening I found myself in a local pizza establishment and I looked across the room, and there sat 3 of the girls who had been in the philosophy class that afternoon. When I acknowledged them, I just felt like I had to get up and go over and talk with them. And as I approached their table, they held out a little box of Nerds and poured some candy in my hand and kind of giggled and said, "Mr. Boggs, has anybody ever told you you look like Stephen Keaton?" I didn't really know who Stephen Keaton was until I got back to the table where my wife was, and she says, "Oh yeah, you know the program Family Ties on television? That's the father of that lovable little guy named Alex. You know Alex, don't you? You've watched Family Ties in the course of your years at Cullowhee High School, haven't you?" Well, you can imagine that these girls thinking that I looked like a TV star kind of made me begin to swell with pride. Until about 3 or 4 weeks later, after I had begun to watch Family Ties myself to see who this was, and I turned to my wife and I said, "Do I really look as old as that man?" He has a son in college, and his name is Alex. A lovable little guy. The girls think he's cute. He's kind of short. He's good looking. And the guys see a young man with success in his eyes, well-dressed, wearing a tie, carrying a briefcase, and the one thing that he always has on his mind is money. He even teaches his tiny little brother about the stock market and reads to him from the Wall Street Journal. I'd like to ask you, graduating seniors, what your relationship is to that green stuff. I know you never have enough of it. Is that it? I've come here tonight to talk to you about money. Does that seem rather strange for a graduation challenge to the seniors to talk about money? Perhaps you thought that I would come with a message to cheer you on in your life work, to say that here we pass the torch on to you so you can go out into the world and run the society better than we have done in past generations. Perhaps you thought I might have made an address like Paul Hardin, who has recently become the new chancellor at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, who, when he was speaking to the graduating class at Brevard College just a few weeks ago, challenged them to see their whole life as a learning career, to make friends with books if you haven't already done so. And that would have been an appropriate address, as would a message for you to set goals and work hard and achieve success. Perhaps some of your parents here tonight would have hoped that I might say something that would stimulate you to create an even better relationship with them. Maybe if I'd have thought about it again, I would have wanted to teach you something about how important it is to go into the world with open ears. If you really want to learn about the world and about people in the world, how important it is to learn to listen in a world that is constantly jabbering and sending out messages. And I suppose because I'm a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, you probably expected me to say something about God. Maybe how important it is for you to pray that God would show you your greatest place of usefulness in this world. All of those things are appropriate messages for you tonight. Then why would I choose a few precious moments in a challenging address to you to talk about money? It's a fear I have. A real fear. The fear is that America may be turning out too many Alex Keaton clones. I mean dangerous types. People camouflaged in nice dress, participating in the family life, law-abiding citizens, but yet who are ultimately turned in on themselves, who are ultimately arrogant, who are driven and ruled by the love of the almighty dollar. This fear is not based upon a television show, it's based upon facts. In a recent study by the American Council for Education, students were asked, "Why do you want to go to college?" The most common answer was, "Because I want to be wealthy." 76% of these students interviewed said that they felt that one of the top goals in their life was being well off financially. Contrast that with only 39% who said that having a meaningful philosophy of life was important. In another recent study reported in Forbes magazine, a very preeminent business publication, in which 2,600 college students were interviewed, students between the ages of 18 and 22. In that study, 78% of them said they feel it's a mistake. It is a mistake to choose a low-paying profession, even if you like it. A mistake to choose the career that is right for you because it doesn't pay high money? It seems impossible. And yet I am afraid that we may be turning out too many Alex Keaton clones. The Honorable Terry Sanford, United States Senator from North Carolina, was recently addressing the graduates of Pfeiffer College when he warned them of the danger inherent in the concentration upon individualism. That danger I can sense. That self-interest which seeks to accumulate for the self money and things. How about the challenge to extend the cause of human rights? How about working for the dignity of all people, no matter what career you choose? How about being concerned for the homeless and the low-paid and the poverty-stricken? You may not be a fan of Michael J. Fox, but you have probably been influenced by the character of Alex Keaton. My challenge to you this night is that you would develop a vision for your future which rises above the measurement of success by dollar signs. That you would develop a vision which can be measured by how much you love and care for your fellow human beings. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ once said, not in a preacherly way, but in an observation, in an insightful observation about the nature of reality. Jesus said, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. What about your treasure? What is it? Where is it? Is it accumulating the individual wealth that you dream about in the future? Or could it be the living and working in this great land of ours for liberty and justice for all? My prayer for you tonight is that you may be generous, that you may be kind, that you may find God's greatest place of usefulness in this world for you. But most of all, that you may be courageous and bold enough even to pursue a career that won't pay you great wealth. We're proud of you, and we congratulate you on your accomplishments to this point. And so now from this night, we challenge you to so live your lives and choose your values that you may honor your parents and be a positive legacy to this Cullowhee High School. But most of all, the way you live your lives and choose your values, you may please God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Thank you.
Parents, friends, faculty, and honored guests, welcome to the commencement ceremonies for the class of 1988. There are times in life when a situation cannot be expressed in words, but can only be articulated by the language of the heart. Tonight is one of those times. Because we are not only about to enter a doorway that leads to our futures, but we are also the final graduating class of Cullowhee High School. Over half of us have been in school together for 13 years, and if you count preschool, even longer. Tonight is perhaps the last time every member of the class of 1988 will be together. Therefore, it seems appropriate to reflect on the past, because the past has prepared us for the future. Someone once said that what we learn in childhood provides the framework for success in adulthood. Don't tell lies, don't be selfish, respect other people's properties, and always be considerate of others are just a few of the basics we learned in kindergarten and first grade that will always be with us. The past also provides us with memories. While each of us will leave with his or her own personal or private memories, all of us can recall certain events that will be forever in our minds. For example, who in our class will ever forget playing Star Trek or Star Wars? As we got older, our interests changed. We moved from playing games to, yes, love. We'll always remember those romantic notes that the boys passed to the girls which read, "Will you go with me?" And under the words were two boxes, one labeled yes, the other labeled no. Then we moved to junior high, where we were top dogs, or so we thought. None of us will ever forget Mr. Waldrop and the monster in his closet that conveniently roared when students rebelled or misbehaved. I'm sure that every student in our class can still remember, "I think I shall never see a poem as lovely as a tree." A line from Joyce Kilmer's poem Trees, which we had to recite for a grade in Mr. Yount's science class. Before we knew it, we were in high school, where the intensity of our experiences created even more vivid memories. As freshmen, we experienced and shared with the rest of the school a momentous event, winning the football conference championship, which sent the school spirit to an unbelievable high. As sophomores, we were finally able to be accepted socially by the upperclassmen. School spirit continued to be high as the volleyball team and boys basketball teams were conference champions. We remember our junior year as the most academically challenging. We all thought we'd never make it with all the pressure and work, but we did. Again, the winning volleyball and basketball teams kept the Rebel tradition. Finally, our senior year was here. This year was decision year for each of us. Should I go to college? If so, where? Should I work or perhaps enlist in the armed forces? Even with all the decisions, we all felt prepared. The teachers at CHS taught us more than Avogadro's number or who Chaucer was. They taught us tolerance, responsibility, discipline, and most importantly, the desire to learn. While this is the last year for Cullowhee High School, the memories and fighting spirit that this school has instilled in us will help us each reach our fullest potential. Cullowhee has given us the ingredients to succeed, and we will, because we are and always will be rebels. Thank you.
I too want to welcome each of you to the graduation exercises of the class of 1988. We realize that not only is graduation for the students, but also for those of you that are parents. You have an investment of time, of money, of love, and it has lasted for a long time. And we want you to feel welcome at this ceremony as well. We have a very special group of people with us this evening. The graduating class of Cullowhee High School from 1938 has been having their reunion, and they are with us this evening. I would like for the members of the class of 38 as well as their spouses to stand and be recognized at this time, if you will. We're very proud to have you as part of our program this evening, and I would like to ask the president of the class from 1938, Mr. John Buchanan. He came here from Texas, and we'll ask him to come and speak to us at this time.
Members of the graduating class of 1988, you are here tonight to graduate where we went through about 50 years ago. You're going to be the last class at Cullowhee High School new. However, in just a few hours' time, Cullowhee High School will fade away into history. And you will be the class that will ever be remembered as the ones who turned out the light and closed the door. For after you leave here, Cullowhee High School will be no more. Yet it's going to be a night that you'll always remember. If you get together for reunions like we have had, this will be one of the most significant nights of your entire educational career. In looking back through the years, in 1938, we were a small class, but we find ourselves here 50 years later. We hope that we can be here for your 50th anniversary. And we will be in spirit, if not physically. Now, you have the distinction of being the last class at Cullowhee High School. However, our class brings memories here tonight also. And we have two memories which you could not possibly have. One of them is Miss Cordelia Kemp. I usually have seen the picture on your walls of your school over there, and you have walked past the picture many times. Perhaps it didn't mean anything to you. Now, we didn't have a picture of Miss Kemp in our school. We had Miss Kemp. Well, let me tell you something. That was an experience which all of us will never forget. We knew her quite well, and sometimes we wish that she didn't know us quite so well. But we got through it. Now, the other memory which we had, which you could not have also, and that is Professor R.L. Madison, the founder of this great university. He was a figure which was always walking on our campus. And if we had the opportunity to go and speak to him, we would always do so, for he seemed to have an everlasting supply of chewing gum in his pocket. And that was the reward for a person recognizing him, coming up and speaking to him, a stick of gum. At the graduation time, Professor Madison would be on the platform, and he would always present little dictionaries to graduates whose parents had been students of his. I happen to be the one that has one of those autographed little books. But now we're not here tonight to talk about the class of 1938. We're here to talk about the class of 1988. But just remember one thing. Without the past, there could be no present. Without the present, there could be no future. Now, my class of 1938, tonight we represent the past. You, the class of 1988, is representing the future. And what a glorious future you're going to have. Use it wisely, and you will find that there will be a return with many awards. God bless you all, and good luck to you. Thank you.
Cannon, one person that is in the class of 1938 that is very special to me and very special to all of these graduating seniors is Mrs. Gertrude Allen. She is the manager of our cafeteria and has prepared meals for these students for many years. Our speaker this evening was born in Smithville, North Carolina, where he attended the public schools. He then came to Cullowhee to attend Western Carolina College. He has lived in Cullowhee since 1949, except for the time, the military time that he spent during the time of the Korean War. He returned to Cullowhee and was on the faculty here at Western for 5 years. He received his PhD from the University of Georgia. He was principal of Kemp Laboratory School and Cullowhee High School for 11.5 years before his retirement. He was the principal for the first 9 years that these seniors were in school there. Our speaker is and always has been a true advocate of public education and is an ardent supporter of Cullowhee High School. I give to you this evening our speaker, Dr. Charles Stallings.
Thank you, Art. Parents, grandparents, friends, teachers, and officials on the platform, on behalf of our honored seniors, I welcome you to the commencement of the oldest continuously functioning school in this county. Old it is in time and tradition, but perennially new in its approach to serving young people. Seniors, of all the wise and good people that you could have chosen to speak at this graduation, there must have been a compelling reason to invite me. I wish you'd told me what it was. I wanted to know so much that I made the mistake of asking a senior who shall remain nameless what he would like to hear and he said a few jokes maybe, and after that is as little as you can get by with. Well, whatever the reason you ask me, not one among you can possibly know the honor you do me. And each time you and I meet in the future, my heart will quicken, because that's what happens to me when I meet special people each time and again and again. Now, looking over this group of seniors, I can see certain individuals who trigger memories of the days gone by. You take Greg Galloway over here. He always had the reputation of never being wrong. One day while I was observing a literature class, Mrs. Jaunt asked Greg if he could discuss iambic pentameter, and Greg said yes. So Mrs. Jaunt said, then please be so kind as to tell us about it. And Greg said, Mrs. Jaunt, could you discuss it? And Mrs. Jaunt replied, of course, Greg. So Greg said, well, since both of us know all about iambic pentameter, let's move on to a new topic. Mr. Cook, who I understand is retiring. I can't believe it. I don't want to believe it, but that's what he said. He once sent Charlie Dale Forge to me with a note explaining that Charlie wouldn't cooperate. And I asked Charlie what was the trouble, and he said, Mr. Cook is confusing everyone in this class, Dr. Stahl. Yesterday he told us that 4 and 1 makes 5, and today he changed it to 3 and 2. Some of you might have a little difficulty remembering Mr. Presley, but I believe he was here and talked to some of you. I think that's right, but he once, I think it was Felicia Cohen, where the Declaration of Independence was signed, and she thought a moment and said, at the bottom, I guess. Mrs. Wyke sent Angie Harris to me one day, 6th grade or 7th grade, and said I should keep her in detention for an hour. So I asked, what am I to keep you in detention for? And Angie said, I didn't know where the Azores were. So I got a little aggravated and said, now listen, in the future you remember where you put things. I didn't really say that. I want to be truthful with you. You see, I asked Mr. Harris, Angie's dad, to look into the problem, and through his closed office door I overheard Fred say to Angie, that what I just said, I said. And so I decided to pretend that I said it to spare Angie's feelings. I really believe Fred was the one that misplaced the money. Mr. Monteith asked Paul Graham. He said, Paul, have you whispered today without permission? And Paul said, only once. Mr. Monteith said, Miss Hall, should Paul have said once? And she said, no, sir, he should have said twice. Several years ago, Mr. Hooper asked Brian Owen this question. He says, Brian, can you tell me how iron was discovered? And Brian said, I heard you say the other day that they smelled it. I'm not going to name this senior because it would put his dad at a disadvantage, but one of our seniors told his dad, he says, I got in trouble today with Mr. Monteith and it's all your fault. And his dad said, now how's that?
And the senior said, "Remember when I was working out that financial statement and I asked you how much $500,000 was?" His dad said, "Yes, I remember." The senior said, "Well, a hell of a lot ain't the right answer." Mrs. Mincy, now I'm featuring a lot of teachers I know, but I want to mention them. And I'm going to leave out some I should mention, I'm sure, and I'll probably include some I shouldn't have. But Mrs. Mincy, she's been retired for a while, but back in the 6th grade, she asked Patience Gilman. She said, "Patience, who was the first man?" And Patience said, "Washington. He was first in war." And Miss Mincy says, "No, now. Adam was the first man, Patience." And she said, "Well, if you're considering foreigners, I guess you're right." Now, the mention of Adam's name reminds me of the preacher who had taken for, I'm going to watch this fellow back here, who had taken for his text the story of Adam and Eve in the garden. And the preacher, being a very particular man, had made many notes to which he referred often. And he came to the point in the story where he used a direct quote. Reading from his notes, he said, "And Adam said to Eve," and right at that point, a gust of wind blew across the rostrum and blew his notes, fluttered across the floor. And it sort of flustered him, and he bent over and started looking for the right page, and he picked up a few, and he was looking, and he said, and Adam said to Eve, and Adam said to Eve, he said, "Look here, I believe there's a leaf missing." Now I have one more that I think maybe you'd enjoy a little bit. All of you know Frida. In order to make conversation with her very quiet boyfriend as they drove toward the movies, she said, just anything to get him talking, she said, "Would you like to see where I was vaccinated?" And he said, "Yes, indeed." She said, "Well, you keep your eyes on the road, and we're going to drive right past the clinic in just a minute." Now, a lot of funny things have happened along with the sad, but taken all together, they make up our special place called Colby. There may be many more fine schools in this world, but our school is truly special. We wanted our school to promote each individual. The parents and the teachers structure it so that all can excel at something. All who apply themselves academically are rewarded. All who aspire to improve their athletic skills are given a chance. For those who find themselves in trouble, there is a one-on-one attempt to resolve the problem. For those thirsting for the arts, you find Mrs. Fisher, Diane Tilson, and others eager to point you in the best direction. All the teachers at this school wear many hats. They double up. That's 2 classes in one, 3 classes in one sometimes, to tailor for you an education. And I'll bet every one of you can identify with that statement. So it was no accident that soon after coming to school at Western Carolina in the fall of 1949 that I fell in love with the Cullowhee School. It did what I thought good schools should do. These things alone give me reason for outrage at what's been done to Cullowhee. Now I want you to forgive me if I say things that make anyone uncomfortable, but I need to tell you something of the way that I feel and why I feel the way I do. I was a physical education major when I came here, and after a baseball game, which we lost early in the spring of 1950, a young bat boy, 10 or 12 years of age, assured me that we would get them the next time. He said, "Don't worry, we'll beat them tomorrow." Now, as I said, it was early in the spring, and by the time the game was over, the weather had changed, like it always does in Cullowhee, and it began to spit snow. This boy now, after comforting me, began to walk away, heading toward Tuckasegee and home, and I looked very carefully at him. Barefoot, much repaired trousers, his shirt was faded, but there was something in his walk and his manner that gave me to know that he was made of good stuff. There I was, worried about a game that had already taken its place in history. But he was already beyond that. He was all braced up and dreaming of all the challenges ahead. Now, his feet and his body must have been cold, but he didn't shiver, and he didn't walk down at the heel. He showed a quiet strength of character that I've seen in so many since. No, that youngster had bounce. He had spunk. That never-say-die attitude about our game was the same attitude with which he faced life. And he gave me an inner fortitude that late afternoon. He let me know how I could make my life count for something. I resolved to become a teacher of youngsters. I wanted to teach youngsters like him, youngsters who lived where he lived, mountain youngsters, youngsters from Cullowhee yet. Youngsters who could give me so much, and youngsters to whom I could give what I had to give. Now, my parents and grandparents had taught me how to care for my neighbors long before I came to Cullowhee. And I wanted every youngster to be my neighbor. I wanted my neighbors to know what I knew. And with this motivation, I set out to teach and become one with my students. Now, no doubt I fell short, but the boys and girls never disappointed me in all those years. You see, I had resolved to be a teacher of young children, and I wanted to be a teacher of them at Cullowhee. I can't say goodbye to that resolve, for it carried me to heights far beyond the wildest dreams. And believe me, I had wild dreams. I had heard about, read about, and talked about George Washington, Lincoln, Jefferson, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, Lou Gehrig, Rudyard Kipling, Jack London, the magnificent Roman Horatius, who defended his city, Rome, at the bridge over the Tiber River, and 1,000 others. And I wanted all those heroes that filled my head, that made my days an exciting adventure, transferred to that youngster. I wanted to be part of what he and all his neighbor boys and girls could become. If I say goodbye to Cullowhee, then I say goodbye to my dream of having been a useful human being, and I'm not willing to do it. You're looking at one of the luckiest teachers, if not the luckiest teacher who ever came to Cullowhee or to any other community. And I owe it all to the students who gave me everything. And when I look down the halls of time, I see a never-ending stream of youngsters, all with the same mettle of that first youngster that had such an impact upon me. All those children that I see in the future are just as desperate to know and to understand as those were in the past. I've never seen a person who didn't want to know. Even when they acted otherwise, it was only a cocoon in which they wrapped themselves so I wouldn't find out how unhappy they were inside because they didn't know what they wanted to know. When kids like this come along, I always remember a poem that tells the good teachers what to do. And it goes like this, it's very short. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. And I think so many of the people in Cullowhee have that philosophy. There are people in this audience, people in this class, and people still to be born that want or will want the things I wanted for my students. And I charge those special people never to be willing to say goodbye to Cullowhee. The dream that I hold in my heart was made in Cullowhee, and I can never say goodbye. In your heart, you must firmly attach Cullowhee, because as the man said, Mr. Buchanan said a few minutes ago, on paper, it really is no more. But I want you to read Old Ironsides, a poem by Oliver Wendell Holmes. Then let the strength of those words strengthen your resolve to believe, as I believe, that Cullowhee will exist again. But you must do more than dream. You must work hard. You must make it your business to become an informed person about your church, your neighborhood, your county, your country, and its leaders and would-be leaders. You be willing to give the energy it takes to inform yourselves of the issues, all issues. Be conscientious enough to get your information across to your friends and neighbors. Our right to vote is the cornerstone of a democracy, and our duty demands all, 100% of us to exercise that right in every election to ensure wise and properly guided leaders. I had a friend say to me, I should have voted. I didn't. It wouldn't have made any difference anyway. We lost by over 500 votes. Well, about 700 eligible voters in Cullowhee alone didn't go to the polls in that primary. And I've wondered many times since if each one of those potential voters had said to a friend, I should have voted, but it wouldn't have made any difference because we lost by a little over 500 votes. Don't you be guilty of using the excuse, I forgot, I go to work too early, I get back too late, or my vote won't make any difference. There are too many instances in our history where exactly one vote elected an official that had far-reaching effects upon our country and our people. In every war we fought, no serviceman failed to meet his obligations, and you must do as much. Learn what the issues are as best you can, and then vote your conviction. If we do these things, we'll not have to say goodbye to most worthy institutions. One of our forefathers said, eternal vigilance is the price of freedom, I think Thomas Jefferson said. So each time there's an election, you be vigilant, you be informed, and each time there is an election, you be there. Your vote is not only a privilege, but more than that, it is your bounden duty. Read this poem, Stopping by the Wood on a Snowy Evening, I think is the title. I'm sure you can look it up by that line. And you pay particular attention to the last stanza, in which you will find these lines, and they've meant more to me, and I'm talking about from the time I was a high school person, working in high school. I acted foolish like some of you do, like most of you do, and I pretended to be this or that, but there were things that stuck to me and things that have come with me all these 39 years. And the line from this poem is, I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Remember the promises, and you take care of your promises before you let anything else get in the way. Promise yourselves tonight to never say goodbye to Cullowhee. Finally, each senior here tonight must change gears, so to speak. For the door beyond high school is a threshold through which you have passed. No easy road waits out there for you. You make your choices, or they are thrust upon you. You go with your purpose, or you are driven by someone else's purposes. Tomorrow and for as long as you live, remember your teachers and their advice. I hope you will ask your parents and grandparents for guidance too. But of utmost importance, I hope you will put forth your best thinking as to how you will fit yourself into the future. Learn all you can learn from as many sources as you can, and your decisions, I think, will put you on the right road. Training beyond high school is a must. You have learned to understand and use the English language, and you've learned some basic math. And now you can make choices, and your mountain heritage should tell you the easy way is not the best way. No one that I know ever gained any self-esteem by taking the easy way. The good road for you is the one in which lie formidable obstructions that you can see even now. Not saying goodbye to Cullowhee is a formidable obstruction, but you get over these obstructions one by one, and you do it through your hard work and perseverance. At the end of that road, you'll be able to say it wasn't easy, but it was right. And I feel good about myself. May God's blessings go with each of you, and I hope to see you often. Good night.
Good evening. It is an honor to be addressing you this evening as the valedictorian of the class of 1988 Cullowhee High School. It was a difficult choice for me to decide on the topic because there's so many things that I wanted to say about Cullowhee and my class and all that Cullowhee has meant to me, to the teachers, because it really does have some fantastic teachers and it's a wonderful school. This is a special night, not just for me and my classmates, but for everyone here. This is the 95th and final graduation of Cullowhee High School. Cullowhee has had a long and proud history. Each class of the years has had its fighters, its heroes, its memorable moments, and its touching memories. But we all have something even greater in common. We're all part of the Cullowhee High School family. I'm the third generation of my family to graduate from Cullowhee High School. So you can see Cullowhee has truly been a part of my family. But not just with my father and my grandfather, but tonight something really special happened. I graduate with 41 of my brothers and sisters. From Cullowhee's Academy founding in 1889, 99 years ago, by Professor Robert Lee Madison, Cullowhee has set high educational standards and has taught more than just the 3 R's. It has taught us about life. We have learned to learn. From the beginning, Cullowhee has had to fight for everything that it has received. And I feel this is why there's such pride in our school, its accomplishments, and its traditions. They were all so well learned. On behalf of the class of 1988, and me personally, I would like to thank all the educators and alumni throughout Cullowhee High School's history for all that they have done for Cullowhee. For y'all have really made Cullowhee who it is, and Cullowhee has made us who we are. Cullowhee has taught us dignity, school spirit, leadership, pride in oneself, and the values of friendship and family, as well as give us a good education. All are important bases for our life beyond high school. Cullowhee may be closing its doors as a school tonight, but think of it more as a retirement, and this is a family reunion. For Cullowhee High School will live in all of us forever. Finally, I challenge my classmates, the Cullowhee High School class of 1988, to use the good manners, morals, and ethics that we have learned at Cullowhee High School and to take them out into the world, and not to be afraid to be our best. Remember, it's okay to go out on a limb. That's where the fruit is. And also remember that being your best and living up to your potential is the greatest tribute that any school, teacher, or parent could ever have. Always hold dear the friends and memories of the black and gold rebels of Cullowhee High School, and always keep a hearty Yay Rebels in your heart. Be contented with what you have, but never be contented with who you are. This is good advice, and I think that we can all strive to do our best and to carry on the Coley Rebel spirit in everything that we do in the rest of our life. I'd like to wish you all the love and the luck and the happiness that the world has to offer. We are the future, and the future is now. And even though we may not see each other as often as we have before, we'll all live in our hearts and our memories forever. May God bless us and keep us until we meet again. Thank you.
I would like to recognize several special students who have excelled at Cullowhee High School. As I call their name, I would like them to come forward. Number one, the valedictorian of the Cullowhee High School class of '88, Mr. Gregory Lane Galloway. The salutatorian of the class of '88, Miss Jennifer Erin Kilpatrick. The Leadership Award is presented to a senior who has demonstrated outstanding leadership qualities while in high school. The recipient is selected by the faculty, and this year it is Charles Vincent Delford.
I'd like to thank all my teachers for the 12 years in Dr. Stalling, and my mom and my dad and my brother and Linda and Marie. Thank you very much.
The Citizenship Award is presented to a senior boy and a senior girl for superior citizenship in high school. Recipients are selected by the faculty. The Citizenship Award for a young lady will go to Susan Marie Kilby. Literary Award, who is presented by Mr. and Mrs. We have the Male Citizenship Award, and that award will go to Gregory Lane Galloway. We have the C.A. Hoyle Literary Award this year, presented by Mr. and Mrs. Herschel Beam, and the recipient will be Gregory Lane Galloway. We have a special award for a special person who has had perfect attendance for 13 years, and that student needs to be recognized and to come forward, and is Susan Marie Gilbert. Okay, and at this time, Mr. Middleton will make a special presentation.
A prestigious award that is given by our school. It was established by the family of Dr. Killian and is selected by our faculty members. The recipient must show strength in 4 areas: scholarship, leadership, citizenship, and participation in extracurricular activities. The competition for this award is very tight, It's very hard to decide, and the voting is close. This year's recipient is Mr. Greg Galloway.
The last award is an award that I think is near and dear to all the students at Cullowhee High School. It is the Ashby Caroline Wade Award. This award is established in the memory of Ashby Caroline Wade and is presented annually to the senior nominated by the senior class and selected by a student faculty committee who in their judgment best exemplifies outstanding qualities of altruism and genuine concern for others. This year, the award goes to Jennifer Erin Kilpatrick. Mr. Middleton, at this time, I would like to present to you the Cullowhee High School class of 1988. Laura Lee Adams, honor student and North Carolina scholar. Tammy Lynn Broom. Nicole Buchanan, North Carolina scholar. David Keith Circa, Jr. Alicia Elizabeth Cohen, honor student and North Carolina scholar. Lee Ann Coe, North Carolina scholar. Rachel Suzanne Cox, North Carolina scholar. Charles Vincent Belford. Frida Ann Dills. Greg Dills. Brad Donaldson Franklin. Lane Galloway, honor student, North Carolina scholar. Patience Elizabeth Gilman, North Carolina scholar. Paul Ray Graham. Martha Alicia Hall. Angela June Harris, honor student, North Carolina scholar. Brian Eddie Henry. Tanya Lynn Johnson. Susan Marie Kilby. Jennifer Erin Kilpatrick, North Carolina scholar, honor student. Michael Alexander Leno III. Ashley Heatherton Martin. James Gregory Massengale. Cynthia Renee Maynard. Joseph Al McNeely. Christopher Michael Morgan. Angela Kelly Owen. Ryan Oley. Michael Eric Presley. James Scott Prince. Gregory Edward Robinson. Rita Faye Saunders. Tammy Hoyle Saunders. David Bartholomew Sellers. Stephen James Syria. Karen Faye Deanna Stewartson. Daryl Wayne Talley. Tabitha Marie Vacanti. North Carolina Scholar. W.S. Weems. Shannon Ray White. Marty Grayson Wilkes.
Now, by the power vested in me in the state by the state of North Carolina, I pronounce you graduates of Colorway High School. Will you please stand and join us in singing our alma mater?